Hello, hello.
Quiet.
What's up, Cove?
Big Cove in the house. I'm about to sit still. I promise you. I just
I believe you. No worries.
uh, uh, uh this air is
Can,
running in. It's
can
loud.
you hear me? Okay, I have a new headset in.
No, you sound perfectly fine, my guys.
That's dope. Perfect. Perfect.
Mhm.
So,
Salute to Jess. Pardon me.
salute.
Go for it.
I don't know. Go ahead.
No,
Let's
I was just
let's
I was
honor
just
everyone in the chat.
shouting at the people real quick because I'm about to sit down.
Yeah,
So I
man.
wanted to shout the people out real quick. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody. Just gotta get my seat straight. Get in the game. I just needed to go somewhere quiet, so I'm in the booth right now.
Nice, nice. Is that the home studio?
Yeah. Yes, sir. This is where the magic happens. My microphone is like right here,
Nice,
right
nice,
over my head. Right here. Yeah. So this
nice.
is where the magic happens. Yo, Smoke, what up? Yeah, family.
Salute, smoke. So how's your day, man? How you been?
Oh man, productive. It's
Yeah.
yeah. No, very productive. Very productive. I went to work this morning. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I didn't get up as early as I normally do to work out. I've been working out and stuff.
Okay.
So, but I didn't get up early because I worked out heavy yesterday, more than normal.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But I got up, went to work, did my work. I don't know. I did some other stuff. Let me think. Um, Working on a booking.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, working on a booking for for a well-known producer. You know, we got the beat battle thing going on, so
yeah.
working on something
Cove told me about that. We'll get into that for sure.
for sure. That and yeah, I came home and I started working, trying to finish this R&B record that I've been working on. I actually just got the last piece of it mixed.
Nice.
So I'm putting all of the pieces to the puzzle together to try to create, something better than what it already was. You know what I mean?
D-
So that and
Dude, I was pretty confident. The reason they called you L-Biz is because you stay busy.
I
But
do that.
when you told me why you call yourself L-Biz, I was like, okay, okay.
No, actually, you know what? The funny thing about that's not really why, but like I said, the reason why they call me L-Biz is because of the combination of Big L and Biz Marquee and the personalities and the lyrical skill.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
I actually just came up with that recently. So
Recently.
that yeah,
Okay,
because like, that's not really how I got my name. You know what
okay.
I'm saying? Like uh just to get into that real
It's
quick for
good,
those
Mark.
that's not aware. Salute to Mark Lee. Um, when I first started rapping,
Okay.
I was doing comical rap, like just making jokes and doing fun stuff because I was singing and there was a bunch of rappers around me that was really good at it, and I wasn't even really rapping like that. I actually wasn't rapping at all.
What year was this? Like, I want to get a sense of when you started rapping and singing.
Uh, I started singing, like recording, in like 2001.
Okay.
So I started singing and recording in 2001, and after some years of doing that, with like a year or two, I just the situation that I was in wasn't moving fast enough for me.
Hmm.
So I actually enlisted a bunch of rappers that I actually just come across and on happenstance, like, yo,
Right.
my cousin got a studio, let's go make something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And because I was a singer surrounded by so many rappers, product of my environment, I kind of picked up on it, but I didn't take it seriously because these dudes were so good. So, you know what I mean? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So I went by the moniker Low Budget at the time.
Okay.
And because it was like me rapping was a joke to me. So Low Budget, it just made sense. It was like, like corny stuff to do, and I would do comical raps under the name Low Budget.
Right.
And and
Low budget sounds like a skit rapper, like the mad rapper,
exactly,
the low budget rapper.
exactly,
Is that right?
exactly. Yeah,
All right.
exactly. And so, you know, and this because this was like 2000, 2001 and whatnot, it was the for shizzle, dizzle, bizzle era, right? Like
Right, right,
Snoop
right.
Dogg had the lingo down. So, so it was low budget and it kind of morphed into low bizzle. And I just transformed low budget and low bizzle into L-Biz. That's
Okay.
kind of how it hit morphed
Got it.
into L-Biz. Yeah, so.
Got it. Got it. Got it. It's that's interesting. But now it's you've added more meaning, saying the L is you want to rap, known for rapping with the quality of bars of Big L and the jovial personality of Biz Markie. I can actually see that, man. You do
Yeah,
have
that's
that
my
jovial side to you. So
for sure. Like I'm an entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
I'm not like one of these dudes that one of these rappers or whatever hip hop aficionados that take themselves too
yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
So you know what I mean.
Th-
I enjoy my art.
Does it translate on stage for you? Because I think that's a good kind of mindset that when I rap, I'm pretty damn serious, I'll be honest with
No
you.
doubt.
So,
Yeah.
but I could see that working out on stage, getting the crowd
Yeah,
worked up. Does it help you?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Right,
I do a lot of show hosting here in Buffalo too. So
right.
you know what I mean. So that's part of it. I guess like the Biz Marquee side of it is like the
Hmm.
showmanship. The stage presence and the ability to interact with the crowd and entertain the people. You know what I mean. But I also am a serious lyricist, so I take my craft very seriously. I take what I write very seriously, even when it's fun. I
Yeah.
take it serious. You know what I mean. So. You
When
know.
did you learn singing in church? I'll guess. Like, is that a church thing, or where did you pick that up?
Yeah, my family. There's a bunch of like not professional singers, but church
Oh
singers in my
wow.
family. My grandmother was a youth choir director at my
Right,
church,
right.
and at the church that I attended at the time, and so my parents was in the church. My father was a deacon in the church,
Wow.
and so it's I'm singing with like my family was the largest family within the church, so we was kind of like we was the vocal section of the church for the most part. You know what I mean? Like my cousins and like three or four of my cousins, like a bunch of my cousins sing. My aunt was a singer at the church. My grandmother, my father was a singer as well. Like my uncles. So
I
that's where I hone my skills.
I feel like your rapping has caught up with your singing for sure. I mean, I just came to know of you 4 weeks ago through
For
Cove.
sure. For sure.
Again, I'm going to beat a dead horse here, but I run a monthly series interviewing dope lyricists strictly. We're on episode 8. Cove threw your name out there. I was looking for someone, and that's how we linked up. But yeah, I feel like you've caught up at this point. I wanted to, I wanted to ask you, what can you do with singing that you can't do with rapping and vice versa? Like, what can you get off your chest? How can you approach art differently between the two? I can't sing, so I envy you, be honest
Oh,
with you.
man.
So,
Respect. What can I do with singing that I can't necessarily do with rapping? I actually I don't talk of like you've been able to dissect my catalog for the most part. I don't really talk about relationship stuff a lot in my raps.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's purposefully done.
Yeah,
My wife is a big fan of my softer, more emotionally driven music.
right.
And so when I'm singing, I kind of gear towards that side of myself
Okay,
to appease to one of my biggest and closest fans. You know what I
right.
mean? Is wife. So I kind of save that side because I feel like I can get off a little bit more soul and emotion through
Yeah,
singing.
yeah.
And it comes through in the lyricism as well. Like what I write when I'm singing is a little bit different than what as
So,
far as like just the passion of it all.
do you go by a different name for singing,
I
or it's the
used to
same?
do that. I used to do that. But it just got to be too much to try to balance
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like fun fact. When I got back into singing, because I stopped singing and started
Yeah.
rapping. When I got back to singing, I was going by the name Don Juan. So
Okay.
there's a few Benny the Butcher featuring Don Juan songs circulating through the internet somewhere.
Wow.
You know what I mean? If you want to, yeah. So that's yeah, I was Don Juan, and rest in peace to DJ Shay.
Yeah.
He actually was the one that got me back into, into singing on like hip hop records and stuff like that.
Oh,
After I doing it,
so
yeah.
you let go of that for a bit? Because I think like that you're super dope at it. Like every hook I hear of yours, whether it's like a more like gangster type track or just something soulful from the heart, like the way you harmonize, bro. I'm no singer. I'm not the best judge, but I think it sounds great. You know, I'm
Hey,
surprised to hear that.
if it
So
sounds if it sounds good to you, then I'm good.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like that's what matters to me. Yeah, I took off. I took off singing for a while. It was due to some circumstances. You know what I mean? I wasn't around a lot of singers, so it was just like I wasn't able to hone my skills as much. Like I wasn't like when I kind of grew up and grew out of going to church on a regular basis. I
yeah.
lost that opportunity to be around vocalists a lot
Right.
to perfect my craft, and I was around a bunch of rappers all the
Uh-huh.
time. So it was just like
Hide
I
it.
picked up where yeah,
Put it
yeah. It was
away.
just like not even hide it because people like the rappers that I was around, they would like want me to do it,
Yeah.
but after a certain amount of time, it was just like I knew what I wanted to hear,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel like where I was with my vocal ability was where I wanted to be. And
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to get there and I didn't have the surroundings to create that, that promotion for me to improve myself, I
Yeah.
just stopped doing it for a while. Yeah.
Got
So
it. Got it. Well, I'm happy to hear it's in full swing.
no doubt.
Um, so let's go through a skill set, actually. These things never go as predicted. Like I have an agenda here, but we're
For
going to
sure.
go all over the place. So you also do mixing and mastering and you make beats.
I
Is that right?
do. I've been let me see. Yeah, I started I guess like perfecting my ability to engineer around 2007 or 8.
Yeah.
There's I was working with a collective of artists called Still a Hustle Records, and nobody wanted to learn how to mix or record the songs.
Yeah.
Everybody just wanted to come in and rap. Nobody wanted to do the tedious work. And because I was, again, like I'm rapping, but the people that I'm with, they are so good at, just emceeing
Yeah.
that I'm like, I'll figure out a way to make myself worthy of being in this circle.
Yeah.
So I was just in the studio all the time. Shout out to Thugsman, who's a producer in Buffalo, like one of the top producers in Buffalo. And he would open his door and I would be able to sit down and watch and learn. And after a while I picked it up, and once our situations changed and I was able to have my own setup, I had an opportunity to work on my own stuff. And two, I went around a bunch of studios and everything like that as
So
well. So
you're self-taught or you had a mentor for any of this stuff?
it's a little bit of both.
Mm.
Well, kind of half and half. I learned by watching and being in the studio. I would
Right.
go to the studio, book my own sessions, and do practice songs so I can watch the engineers and ask questions.
Right.
Um, and then like one of my cousins, my older cousins, he was an engineer. He was the like the producer engineer that I was working with when I
Right.
first started back in like 2001 or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was around too, and after I watched and learned a lot of stuff from them, I had the opportunity to try to practice on my own, and then I took it and I ran with it probably around maybe like 2008.
Got it.
I was able to do it on my own.
Yeah. You sound to me like the type of artist that you could lock yourself in your basement for like 3 months and crank out a project. Have you ever done that? Like nearly by
Uh,
yourself or?
uh, Ironically, yes.
Okay.
um, I actually over the course of the last 3 months, the last quarter, I would say I actually accidentally started working on a project in around about
Right.
November, and banged it out. So I'm waiting on a couple features
Right.
to get done, and and it's done. So and that was like in a matter of like maybe like 4 or 6 weeks. you know. So, and I did the majority of the work, probably like out of the 10, 11 songs that it is or something like that, I did probably about 7 of them in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, we put
Okay.
in work over here. I stay busy. You should too.
And where do you rank your beat making skills?
Oh man, I'm
Because I'm
eclectic,
not
bro.
sure if I've heard your beats. Like I've listened to like 7 of your projects,
Yeah,
6, 7. I think I did a pretty good job. You have like probably 15 projects,
yeah,
so forgive
that's
me.
crazy.
But
No, no,
but
that's crazy.
yeah, where would you rank your beat making skills in all this?
I'm a moderate. I'm a decent producer when it comes or beat making. I'm a
Right.
decent beat maker.
Yeah.
I know my way around the production process.
Right.
So uh it's not like my forte to be a beat maker. You know what I'm
Got it.
saying? Like I make beats. I really started making beats as a means to an end. It was a need. I needed beats. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? At the time when when I was working with the team that I was working with, and everybody started to go their separate ways, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a producer to work with directly. So I started, and again, salute to, Thugsman and my cuz Excel. They were producers. So I was able to watch and learn while I was learning how to engineer. I was learning how to make beats and stuff by watching them. And as I was learning to engineer, I was also learning how to make my own beats. So when I needed them, I would be able to make my own. And I started out
Okay.
making my own stuff from the beginning.
So it sounds like you picked up a lot of things out of necessity to get the job done.
Absolutely everything.
We're
Everything.
just necessity is the mother of invention. Is that what they say?
That's that's a fact. That's a fact. Hey, that's the antithesis of my entire career. Like, it wasn't meant for me to be the guy in the front or to be a rapper. I wasn't even meant to be a rapper. I just wanted to be able to see somebody do it and
Right.
help create somebody, cultivate somebody else. So, but I needed to do something with all this talent, I guess.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't we jump in then to your project, your collab project with the Source Academy kid? By the way,
Okay.
that's an interesting name. Do you know the source of the Source Academy kid's name?
Oh man, I wish I could tell you that, but I really don't know, and I never
Okay,
asked. So,
got it.
I'm not sure, but salute to my man. He actually, the Source Academy kid. He's in the rebranding process. So, like, he used to go by Reason Hall, and he got back into the music and switched his name up, and so we
Right.
doing something a little different. But salute to him, man. You know what I mean?
Th-
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is, and I like the more I listen, the more appreciation I gain for his lyricism. You don't always catch the lyricism at first, you
Right,
know. Sometimes you get
right,
it later, more you catch the energy, the delivery first, you know.
right.
Um, so yeah, High Score. I love that album. Literally, like it's one of my favorite albums I've heard in the last long while.
That's beautiful.
It's not even like about a bar for bar thing. Now, mind you, like my skill set, I like to think I developed it more like the MCs that were really like the Royce, the 5 9s, the Big L's, like the real lyricists. So I always think of bars competitively. That's
Hmm.
probably my biggest bias. But once I put the pen down for a bit, I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
And once I start listening to this album and just letting it sink in, not thinking like heavy bar for bar, it's like it's just a beautiful vibe, the whole album, front
Thank
to
you.
back. It's like a feeling of like, thinking back, Tribe Called Quest, the albums I can listen to anywhere, in most moods, and
Yeah.
I plan to actually roll one up during the summer and smoke it. You guys put that on in the summer. That's a summer album, right? Yeah.
We actually just dropped it in December.
Oh, really? Okay.
The plan was to drop it in the summertime. We kind
Yeah.
of teased it. We teased it a little bit early in the summer. With one of the records on the project, but it did just drop recently, and that was partially because we got a release schedule
Yeah.
that we work with as a team, and I just felt like it was essential to kind of help push the next thing. Like, this wasn't even like, it was really like something that we just wanted to kind of put together real quick to put out for the sake of promotion.
Right.
Um, but it turned into something way better than,
But
you know, we even had intentions.
promotion of what? Of ISB of
Well,
what?
yeah. So my personal agenda when it
Right.
comes to being a creator and a member of the hip hop community, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
is, again, it goes back to my reason why I'm doing music in the first place. It was never my intent to be in the front of anything. I
I
wanted
wanted to
to
ask
help.
you that.
I wanted to help people. That
Right.
was my sole intention, and I stick by that to this day. So when I reformed the team ISB with new people, and I started working with the Source Academy kid and the other members of the team, my intention was to be able to take my platform that I had created and I had built for myself, to be able to give them a
So
platform. To,
so
you know,
so so if I can ask you a question, if
Mhm.
money was good for music, I don't know what it is. Let's say everything was good and you had a choice. You had the freedom to choose to play the background or the foreground. What would be your preference?
I would definitely play the background.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Part of it is because I like my freedom. You know,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love the grind of having to create all the time.
Right.
And two, it's certain types of music that I like that I don't make. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so my goal and my desire is to be able to be, a cultivator of the talents that I believe in and that I'm a fan of.
Wow.
I mean, I'm a fan of my own music, but the people that I'm surrounded by, I'm a fan of theirs. So I'd rather be the one to help propel them than to be in the front trying to, drag people along or
Did
bring people with me.
did you always know that, or did it take you years to figure out what you really want out of this? It took me time to realize, I'm gonna relax with the music, become more of an analyst, a fan. You know what I mean? I might drop some bars, but it took me a lot of soul searching to decide, where I stand with hip hop in general. But did it take you time to figure this out, or you kind of knew it all along?
No, I knew it all along.
Right.
When I first started, again, like, I was a singer. I was, connected with, my older cousin and the rappers that he worked with.
Okay.
When I decided that I wanted to do a project, instead of me trying to figure out how to do my own, I went and grabbed a bunch of different people from different walks of life,
Hmm.
and put a project together in
Right.
2004. That's when I met G4 Jag, who
Hmm.
was a part of the Lord Mob.
Right.
I met the two groups that I was working with and a bunch of other artists. And since then, I've been, I did artist management, I've done production, I've done managerial assistant work, I've done beat making,
Yeah.
engineering, for the sake of being able to build and cultivate other artists. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
it.
Like, it just so happened that I use myself as a guinea pig to be able to learn how to do all of this stuff. So,
In-
you know what I mean?
Interesting. So we almost avoided the topic of the high score album.
Oh, no.
Let's get back to that. And the Source Academy kid is in the house, so good
Salute
timing.
Bigger, so
So from what I understand, this project had an look, in terms of making projects. I've released mixtapes. I've worked on albums. I didn't have the range of skills that you have or the resources, this and that. So why don't you educate people that are working with less resources? Like, what went into this project? You have an A&R. The real Dark Skin Jermaine was your A&R.
yeah. So
Is that
so Dark and Jermaine,
right?
he's him and the Source Academy kid were actually in a rap group at one time called We
Okay.
Stole the Show. And
Right.
at the time, Dark and Jermaine started to go into more production, and the Source, he's still doing his artistry,
Right.
so the thought was, like, we had always been on the scene together, but we never did any work together.
Right.
So, after a time, Darcy and Jermaine actually just approached me like, hey, I want you to work with my guy.
Right.
I think that from a logistical standpoint and a business standpoint, you can add something to this, and vice versa. From a creative standpoint, he can add something to you, and whatever the case may be. And I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but that's basically how it went. And so from there, it was really just like Darskin Jermaine actually guided us through the process a bit. Like he produced 2012, which was the first record that we did on the
Right.
project. And then from there it was really just us getting together in the studio, kind of catching a vibe.
By the way, 2012, one of my faves on that one, man.
Yeah, man.
Dope vibe.
That's the brainchild of the Source Academy kid right there, man. He created
Nice.
the foundation for that record
Yeah.
and passed it off to me, and let me do my thing on it, and that's what we got. Yeah, but yeah. So Jermaine was in the process. He was the one that kind of brought us together, or he was the one that brought us together, not kind of. And from there, I just kind of took the reins a little bit and started to. We kind of tossed records back and forth, created in our separate spaces at times and together, and just went through some beats. I know Jermaine did 2012. Reese selected, or pardon me, Source Academy kids selected the first record, Love Me.
Yeah.
And it was built from there as a collective more so than individual.
So you and the Source Academy kid met upon making the album. You didn't know each other before, is that right?
We knew each other in passing for the most part. You know what I'm saying, like from being on the scene, but we didn't know each other personally.
Got it.
Yeah, me and I mean, like, I'm sure that we had spoke, on a number of occasions, or chatted a few times maybe, or whatever. But we didn't have a relationship prior to us meeting before we started working on this project.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? The majority of the people that's a part of the team ISB, we actually kind of came together in the last couple of years. This will be like our second year. So
the back and forth rapping, you guys sounded like you were working well together, and the skit was very natural, very organic. It sounds like you guys recorded like plenty of long conversation and just chopped it up.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's exactly what happened. We sat in front of the microphone, myself, the Source Academy kid, and Smoke. We sat in front of the microphone and just chopped it up, and for about a good half an hour, and maybe an hour, and I was able to identify different pieces of the conversation that stuck out to me that I felt fit the project.
Yeah.
And we approved, and
I just learned carrots are man-made from you guys, so thank you, and that they have no nutritional value. Thank you.
I don't believe personally, but my people, they feel like that's real. So I don't know.
So how long does it take you guys? Like, I think that project is brilliant. The sound's amazing. It was Carolina Blue that engineered it.
Yes, like I did the vocal recording and some of the mixing, and then that's my partner when it comes to like finishing projects, because the majority of everything that we do happens here. You know what I mean? So I'm doing the majority of the recording, like the foundational pre-production mixing and whatnot, and then I'll send him the what I have and and the references to what I think it should sound like. And he transforms it and makes it bigger and better and everything. So
because it sounds super crisp, you know what I mean? Those video game sounds and just all the drums and everything. But is he the dude you go to also for Never Cry, or that was a different? We'll get to Never Cry. I don't want to change topics, but is he also your engineer on that? Because it sounds beautiful too.
Yep, he finalized that project as well. He actually did the last. Let me see. He did Never Cry. He did Latter-day Saints, and he did High Score. Those three albums, he finalized those for me, and he sequenced the other two. He sequenced Never Cry. He also sequenced High Score as well. So you know what I mean? Like,
how long did it take you guys to, from start to finish, come up with this album? Like the sounds, all the beats go well together. The skits, like it's harmonious. You know what I mean? Front to back, seamless listen. How long did this project take from front to back?
Oh man, from front to back. Ironically, it took us like 2 years.
Okay, yeah, so it took time.
Yeah, and I think part of that is just us learning each other, understanding schedules. Like we both grown adults, so we got different schedules and life responsibilities and stuff like that. So it took a little bit of time for us to kind of catch a stride. but you know, we were just building. We were doing a lot, you know, together, like learning and, you know, recording and having great conversations to kind of really have a better feel of who each other is.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. It's like, you know, that old school thing where the older artists don't like sending records. They would rather be in the studio. We had that chance. So,
Oh, did,
yeah.
did you guys spend more time in the studio together, or recording at home on your own? Like,
No, I would say, I think only one record was done outside of the studio.
okay,
Yeah.
did you guys butt heads at all
No,
in the process?
no,
Dope. That's
no,
nice.
no. You know why? Because, you know, I'm very easy when it comes to, you know, being creative, because I do so much as an artist, and
Yeah,
I find myself to be very versatile. I like the challenge of being able to go into someone else's world of creativity and seeing how well I can fare in it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, so the Source Academy kid, he pretty much drove the car with this project as far as like certain sounds and tones and the direction a little bit.
yeah.
And you know, and I followed up with, you know, doing my part to make sure that the songs were solid, and you know, the other stuff around
Uh,
it, you know, made sense.
I'll tell you honestly, like, again, the way me and you linked up was very quick. You know, Cove threw out your name on IG. You obliged. I said, let me check out your music, make sure it checks out, because I never heard of you before. I'm from Toronto, right?
Word.
So fair enough. But when I listened to that album, I didn't know if it was four people on that project, two people, because
Right.
I still think of rappers as rappers, not singers. So I'm like, I was hitting you up, who's rapping, who's singing here? Okay, this someone is rapping differently here. Who is this? And you're like, that's just us two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it took me a while to wrap my head around who I was listening to be honest with you.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if anybody is a fan of the show Martin, or you know, or Eddie Murphy, Nutty Professor, or something like that, it's really just, I find that a lot of us have different personalities when we approaching different subject matter.
Yeah,
It invokes different emotion, so it's gonna make, like, if you're angry, you're gonna say something a different way than if you was
yeah,
not angry. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna kind of approach certain records in a different way, a la, I guess, like Kendrick Lamar or a Redman,
yeah.
or, you know what I'm saying, like that, something like that. So yeah, so like he's a vocalist, I'm a vocalist, so we were able to really, like, you know, have a lot of fun with creating this project. You know what I mean?
I can sense some Kendrick influences, a little bit inspiration on this one, right? With some of the flows.
A little bit. I wouldn't say that it was an
Not all
influence
the
as
way,
much as,
but
like, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, you know, both of us have been, you know, doing music for a very long time. So, you
yeah,
know, it's really just a matter of us expressing how we, you know, what we like. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Like I said, I'm envious of your skill set as an artist. Between, like, I think you rap double time at times as well, and then like different styles of rapping, different, like, going back in your catalog, it's crazy, man. Like, you have High Score, this video game sounding album, you know, meant for, you know, Blazing 1-2. You have
For
Never
sure.
Cry, which is very introspective and about your community. I jump back to um, what was it, Dreams in 3D, and I'm like, this is like a southern influenced energy, but it's still L-Biz. I'm like I'm blown away by your range, man. So
Thank
yeah.
you, man. I appreciate that. You know, we do our best. We do our best,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. So let me ask you a question. Are you, with all that you're capable of in the studio with music, what part do you hate the most of making music? Like,
Uh,
whether technical, or like, what part would you just make disappear if you could?
the part about making music,
Yeah,
I really don't think that there's anything that I dislike about the creation of music process.
really.
All of my disdain is like business stuff. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
right.
but the creative process is so fun for me.
Right.
Because I like to kind of, like, yeah, I don't have big issues with, like, writer's block
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I don't really have that type of issue. So I don't really know. That's a good question. Like I never thought about
Like,
like I don't
like for me, during COVID, I was recording at home.
know.
And I didn't, I didn't have that tight of a relationship with whoever my engineer was at the time, but I would chop up my own vocals, and I hated it. I hated it. So there's nothing about bringing the creative to the technical that bothers you. You're good even with getting it on the
No,
computer, on the
yeah,
boards or whatever.
no,
No
like
problem.
I've been engineering so long.
Right,
Like
right, right.
I almost prefer it to be me that did the vocals
Got
and
it.
the vocal production and the, you know what I'm saying, and that creative process where I'm chopping vocal. Like it's tedious, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's like I equate it to like, you see a girl that you like
Right.
and you wonder how long this is gonna take for you to get the draws, and you going through all of the
Right, right,
ups
right,
and
right,
downs
right,
and
right.
trying to get the draws right, and then that anticipation of what it's gonna be
Right.
like when you finally get there.
The
I
reward.
love it. Yes, I love that. So like
Right.
all that chopping vocals and taking breaths out and adjusting
Right.
stuff and finding the right plugins, and I love it. I love it.
Good for you,
Trust me, I
man.
love that.
Good for you, man. And when Carolina Blue is doing the engineering, are you like all over what he's doing, or like do you trust? Yeah, do you have trust issues with engineering and mixing of your vocals?
Um, not with him.
Okay, good. You're
Not
lucky.
with him.
Right.
Yeah, yo. But the thing is, I've been doing music for so long. I've had very, very, very bad situations. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like people will shift your vocals and it's off time. They won't mix it properly.
Oh my
You know what I mean?
God. Yeah.
I'm a vocalist. Like I'm a
Right.
vocalist, so and not everybody knows how to mix. Singing vocals. So
Yeah.
they'll move stuff around that's not supposed to be moved. Like it's a headache, bro. Like not to throw nobody under the bus, but like I just had one of the hooks that I did get mixed by a very, very well known engineer.
Right.
And when I tell you the man, I wasn't happy with the results.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I won't say I wasn't happy with it. I'll just say I was very curious as to the
You
direction that
you
he.
you want to believe with the resume and experience, they'll just know. They know what you should sound like, right?
Word, yo, it don't always turn out that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the unfortunate part about being self-taught is because you don't have a professor to say, hey, that's a
Yeah.
good job. You know exactly what you're doing. So you kind of got to go off of other people's thoughts about what it sounds like. And for the most part, like artists don't even necessarily know all the time. You know what I
Do
mean? So
do you use the same like plugins and settings like at some level on every project, or is it you start from scratch on every
um I have a foundation that I utilize, but I definitely try to push the envelope a little bit
right.
away from just the cookie cutter process and plugins and sounds or whatever the case may be. I try to do something a little bit different each time.
Yeah.
But I do have, like any beat maker, I got my style of mixing records too. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
So you know what I mean?
So you know what? Before we get into Never Cry, that'll be the other one. We have to dive into that. It was such a well done album,
For sure.
potent message throughout, a lot of nuances from track to track about. But we'll get into that. But let's talk about Buffalo for a minute. We didn't get a chance to talk about Buffalo, right?
Word.
So there we go. So you've lived in Buffalo your whole life? Is that correct? Or
Yes,
you
sir. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I spent a little bit of time outside of Buffalo, maybe like a couple
right?
years, um, in Attica for a
Okay.
while. Like, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
in
Like
That's in New
well,
York.
yeah,
That's New York.
like not Attica specifically, but Ossining, which is a town that the Attica Correctional Facility is in. My father used to
Okay. Okay.
be a corrections officer there.
Got it.
So, what's up? What's up? What's up? Salute to the
Salute.
mob family, Lord Mob. What's up? What up, family?
Salute. So, okay. So, have you lived in the same neighborhood your whole life, or
No, No.
Okay,
I've kind of bounced around different areas of the city. I spent the majority of my time in the downtown area.
got it.
Shout out to the Town Garden Projects. You know what I mean? I'm a project baby from
Right.
Buffalo, New York. You know what I mean? So I spent the majority of my time down there. Stayed on the west side for a little while.
Okay.
Uh, and then I moved uptown. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife bought a house uptown, so I've been
Nice.
uptown ever since. You know what I'm saying? For the last like 12 years or so. You know
Right.
what I mean?
So how was life wherever you grew up in Buffalo? Can you describe kind of life and maybe segue to music where you grew up? What hip hop music meant
Oh
where you grew up?
man, like just hip hop music meant everything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like my first brush with hip hop music was like my uncle used to play a lot of Heavy D music. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I stayed like I had one of those uncles I stayed next door to, and he had the real big super booming system, and he used
Right.
to play all of the tapes and the records, and you know what I mean, like and like my mother was in the military, so when she
Wow.
came home one year, she came home and brought me a Beastie Boys tape. That was
Right.
my first.
Which
That
one?
was
Which
my
one?
first
Which one?
license to
License
bill.
Dale. That
License
was
to
my
bill.
first tape.
Word. That's
87,
crazy.
86.
Perfect. That was
Yeah.
my first cassette tape.
Yeah.
I got my ass whipped listening to DOC, rapping DOC lyrics, like you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was just as a kid, and
Yeah.
once we moved from where we were staying at into the projects, that was around like the '90s, and what I mean, you couldn't go a day without hearing Wu-Tang bumping up,
Yeah.
bumping outside
Yeah.
in the park. You know what I mean? I remember vividly the first time I heard Reasonable Doubt, on cassette. I know exactly what I was wearing. It was the first day of school.
Yeah.
I had the headphones. You know what I'm saying? Like hip hop has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I always wanted to be a part of it or see it done. You know what I mean? I used to beatbox like the Fat Boys when I was a kid. Like
Right.
my uncle used to call me Fat Boy. I used to beatbox. Like it's in my blood, man.
I my first three tapes I got on the same trip to the record store with my older cousin was License to Ill, Raising Hell, and Fat Boys, like at once. That was my
Fire,
start.
fire. That's dope.
Yeah, but so how you have a line from Pray for Buffalo, your latest single, man, which I love the hook on that as usual. Never miss on the hook as usual. You got a message, you know what I mean? You
Word.
got a line there, living vicariously through Benny, Conway, and Wes. I know this record industry is a mess. Can you tell me what the outlook for hip hop was before and after Griselda popped off?
Oh,
Is it
man,
different before and after?
that's that's a great question. Before it happened, I would say at least a decade within what I'm saying the time that it wasn't happening. A lot of us was really like chasing hit records, trying to make a hit and
Yeah,
moving move to Atlanta. Trying to chasing sounds and like really feeling like because of what we saw on TV, like it was like a bunch of rappers that was almost like for our arrogance, they were kind of talentless. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what is this? What is this? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, we because we from New York, not New York City, but New York as a state. We from that era of music where what I'm saying, it's like streets and gritty and all of
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
So to see that kind of cookie cutter ringtone rap stuff happen, and it was just like, man, like if they could do it, we
yeah,
could do it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we were, instead of trying to find a sound, we were trying to chase hit records and chase notoriety and recognition and stuff like
yeah,
that. And, you know what I'm saying? And like even if for the people that know Benny, what I'm saying, if they do their research, they could see he was like at one point in time he was rapping like Joel Santana a little bit. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? And it's
yeah,
like not like he was biting. It's just that was the style that was in, and that's what we felt like we needed to do to get noticed. You know what I'm saying? So that's before, and then leaning into it like after the fact, it was just like,
yeah,
damn, like we can actually be proud to be from Buffalo. That's crazy because like I remember times when I would go to Atlanta and visit my family in Atlanta, and they ask me where I'm from. Like, you got an accent? Where you from? And I'm like, man, I'm from
yeah,
Buffalo.
yeah.
I'm from where that's at. Oh, it's in New York.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
and
That they would say, where is that at? Really?
Yeah, Buffalo. Like, where's that?
Right.
It's in New York. Oh man, like I got cousins that live in New York City. And it's like, no, 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 no. We on the other side
Right,
of the
right, right.
state. And then they always would respond, oh, that's not New York. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it made you kind of like for the weaker souls, it made you ashamed to be from Buffalo, or it made you kind of be hesitant to tell people like,
So I'll relate I'm from Canada, Toronto. I'm going to relate that story to your story because I think it's even more dramatic being from Canada. Like, there was a scene, and I'm not going to pretend I was in the middle of the scene, but there was a scene in the 80s. There were like big artists, at least within Canada, on Canadian TV, some dope stuff here and there. But everyone through the 80s, 90s, like 2000s, everyone was trying to hide the fact that they're Canadian, more or less, even if they
right,
had a dope sound, right?
right.
And whether you love him or hate him, Drake, everything changed when Drake popped off. Like,
For
then
sure.
people started, it took like 30 years to get to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
that's what
can
I'll
imagine.
relate to your Buffalo story.
I was at the time I was a fan of Choclair, and I'm a
Oh
big
yeah,
fan of man, I just Cardinal Official.
yeah,
Big, big Cardinal Official fan. So I can relate because I used to hear those stories all the time. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, man, like we don't get no shine because we from Toronto and this, that, and the third.
yeah.
Like, but the irony to it is like, our local radio station in Buffalo used to play, artists from Toronto all the time. So,
Really,
yeah,
really.
like we have
Wow.
back in, I would say like in the 2008, 9, 10
Yeah.
era, like we had a late night show. Actually, Drake was on the show. Like, another
Right.
fun fact, we had a late night show called Unsigned Hype, and they would play unsigned artists
Yeah.
from Toronto, Southern
Really.
Ontario, and Buffalo, Western New York and stuff. And they would always have a top 10 countdown. And at the time, like, I'm almost ashamed to say it because I'm still unsigned and all of this other stuff. But at
Yeah.
at one point in time, both I and Drake were on the same countdown on Buffalo radio.
Wow. Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, among other artists, you know what I'm saying? It's a few artists, King Avalanche,
Yeah.
and a couple of other dudes that I know from Toronto that did their thing too. So I know the feeling. Trust me when I
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
you, I know. You know what I
But I
mean?
mean, Buffalo, Toronto, like Ontario, Buffalo, there's always been some sort of connection,
For,
you know? Like, I
no, for
actually
sure.
live 1 hour from Niagara Falls at this point. I live just outside of
Yeah.
Toronto, so.
All right.
But yeah, all right. So, with that said, by the way, how'd you guys hold up in the snowstorm, man? I saw footage. It looked crazy. How'd you
It
guys
was
do?
my house was good, but it was
Yeah,
madness. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, it just, the wind gusts was so crazy. Like, it wasn't a lot of snow on my side of the street,
yeah,
but on the opposite side of the street, the wind gust was probably like 15 feet, like,
yeah.
high. You know what I mean? Like, me and my wife actually got out and helped dig some of our
Sorry,
neighbors out.
the snow was 15 feet high? Or the
Yeah,
wind?
yeah. The wind
Wow.
with the wind, it was blowing the snow up in the air. You know what I'm saying?
Holy
So
shit.
it was
Right.
it was mountains of snow in the middle of the street. Like, people wasn't even able to get down the street. So a lot of people wasn't able to get out of their houses.
Hmm.
Like, people was in the streets dying. Like, a lot,
I
you know what I'm
heard
saying?
that.
Like, it
It,
like
it,
I think
is this
it got bad.
typical? Is this a typical winter? Or is this like, oh,
No,
crazy?
no, this was like an anomaly. Like, we actually had a Category 3 hurricane
Right.
at the same time as a snowstorm.
Holy shit.
So
Right.
if you can imagine, like, a hurricane and how much water it tosses up, but it's just all snow. So not only is it like, like water is going to kind of dissipate and evaporate with the heat. With the
Right.
snow, it's just going to stay there. It don't really go away that fast. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was very difficult. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and that's where the Pray for Buffalo, and the inspiration for that came from, because it was just a lot going on, man, and it's been a
Yeah.
lot going on for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Right before we get into Never Cry, because we got to get into that. Um, now I'm losing my train of thought. Uh, you won an award in your city or some type of recognition. Is that right? Can you explain that? What that was?
Um,
Because that's pretty cool to be recognized by your community.
um,
So
oh, I've been on the music scene for approximately 20 years, maybe a little more, a little less. And
right,
in that time, I've been able to, do offer my services like as an artist, as a show promoter, as a manager and a mentor to a number of artists over the course of that time. And
right.
so, one of the council members, uh, actually, gave me an accommodation for my service and in the local music scene.
Dope.
So, I'm saying, and that was pretty dope, man. It was incredible because a lot of like even doing so much in the city, I'm still not recognized by a lot of people that's here. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's not a big city, but it's not small either. We the second largest city in New York State. So it's not like everybody knows me, but I be feeling sometimes like I get slighted for certain things or
Right.
I get overlooked. So that was very heartwarming to know that people cared enough to want to consider me and award me and acknowledge the things that I've been able to do over the course of my career thus far. And my wife was very instrumental in making that happen. You know what I mean? So that
Right.
whole award, like she did that. One of my friends, Slim Gus, who was a videographer, Emmy award winning Slim Gus, who was a videographer that I went to college with. He
Right.
actually came and presented me the award at a show. So it was just amazing, man. You know what I mean? I'm
That's
grateful.
nice. Congratulations.
So,
I mean, I'm sure that was a while ago, but that's dope.
I mean, it was in
Um,
August. It wasn't that long
no?
ago. I'm still living and loving.
Okay, dope.
Nah.
Dope. Dope. So I want to get into your best solo work, in my opinion. Never Cry.
Word.
I probably listened to this thing 15 times.
Oh man.
Solid. Yeah, man.
Thank
I don't play around. When I select an artist to interview, man, I'm going all
you.
in. I listened to High Score probably about 20 times. So there we go, man.
Respect. Respect.
So very soulful. I think it's your most cohesive album. The way you switch your messaging and tone from track to track, it's it gives a full picture of, can I say, a black man in America, in your community in Buffalo, how you feel on the inside. So that's a fair statement, and how you feel about what's put on your community. So I thought that was very potent. Um, so who provided the beats on this album, and like how long did it take to get the sound together? Because it's cohesive. You said High Score took you 2 years.
Yeah.
How long did this one take, and how did the sound come together? How did the whole thing come
Um.
together?
Well, I ended up. I met P.A. Dre, who is a phenomenal producer. A lot of people know him for his work that he does with RJ
Right,
Payne. Um. I met him through another gentleman that I met on Instagram by the name of Myth Got Beats,
right.
and myself and Myth, we actually kind of connected. I'm really big into just working with the people that want to work with you.
Hmm.
So Myth actually reached out and said he wanted to do some work with me. He heard some of my work and was, was impressed. So we actually cut a couple records together, and he's like, man, we should do a project. And I'm like, well, let's, I like to have at least 3 records in the bag before I even commit to something like that. So
Yeah,
you know um
that's a good that's
he actually
that's a good rule of thumb, just to make
yeah,
sure you can work together, right?
and yep, actually, absolutely. And he actually leaked like a snippet of one of the records that we did,
Hmm.
and which I wasn't very happy about, but respectfully, it was like, like we haven't exchanged any money. We just kind of working and filling each other out. So, but PA Dre actually ended up getting wind of it, and
Yeah,
he heard it and really appreciated it, and actually reached out to me and was like, yo, I heard y'all was about to do a project. And I'm like, well, I don't know yet, but maybe. And
yeah,
he's like, well, if y'all do, I want to be a part of it.
yeah.
So,
That's
after
dope.
we got like a third or fourth record done, then I reached out to Dre, and we started to to work and
What,
build.
did you know him already, or that was their first time working together?
No, that was our first time working together. We actually I actually did one of those Instagram rap contests from somebody else, and they heard it and was impressed with me and wanted to work with me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, and that's how that whole thing started to snowball, and the records was coming out very well. My vocal ability, I think, is what really won PA Dre over.
Mm-hmm.
So once he got
Is that how you segue to working with RJ Payne? We can get to that after. I don't want to derail that, but
yeah,
was that the connection?
Yep. So
Right.
but we started to. I actually, let me see, the tail end of 2019 into 2020. Is
Yeah.
when we started to work on that project. And because we was locked in during the pandemic, I had nothing to do but make records. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like I was out of work at the time, at home, just creating. And
Yeah.
PA Dre is he don't sleep. Like this dude is a straight vampire. Like
Right.
I think he sleep like in hour increments. And
Wow.
so no exaggeration either. No
Right.
exaggeration.
Right.
So, and he's on the West Coast. So it's like, we hit each other in different times. He's up at all hours of the night. I'm up at all hours of the night. He's sending me records. And and my turnaround, when I do features and when I like do work with other artists and stuff like that, I really try to make my turnaround time really fast. So, he was impressed by that. He would send me a song, a beat, and I would send him a record back either that night or the next day.
He knows how to pull the drama out of his beats are dramatic. That's the way I'll describe them.
Yeah.
So so end to end, how long did it take you to put this together?
Probably about 8 months.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe about 8 months. I mean, it was so much going on. And then not only that, like we wasn't only working on this project, we were actually doing like, collaborative work and just like creating shells for, song presentation and stuff like that too. So it was just a lot going on, at the time, like 2020, 2021, like during the pandemic, it was just so much emotion happening.
Yeah.
One of the most vivid parts of that process of me writing that album specifically, there was a riot in my city,
Oh wow.
probably about 6 blocks away from where I live.
Right.
And and with all of this stuff happening, I live on the east side. It's it's not the safest place to be all the time.
Right.
And so, I was up late because I was concerned about what was happening in the city. I'm up making sure that I could protect my family. And I seen the SWAT truck drive down my street, drive past my house. It was like,
what was the basis of the riot? Was it part of some bigger
um,
riot, or
it was around the time that the George Floyd
right,
murder
right,
happened.
yeah.
And so it was protests all over the place.
Right.
Between George Floyd killing and the mask mandates and lockdowns,
yeah.
People was just fed up with what was happening in the world. You know what I mean? And so shit hit the fan where we was at. You know what I mean? And I was not too far from. Like you could literally hear the gas bombs going off.
Wow.
Right near my house. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a very emotional time. And
so let me ask you a question. When things that dramatic are going on around you, is your first instinct to make music about it, or do you?
Okay. No. I really was. I before I started writing about it, for the most part, I was really kind of just taking it all in.
Yeah.
And like really, trying to digest it. Like the whole concept of Never Cry, it really came from, the idea that even through all of this madness, as a man, regardless of race, as a man, you still supposed to kind of hold your chin up and strap up your boots and just go and handle business through all of that. You know what I'm saying? There's no, like, I got to explain to my kids what's happening. I got to, talk to my family members and try to make sure that they're good because I'm one of the patriarchs of my family. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't get a chance to kind of sit down and just bask in my own personal emotions. I have to
Right.
consider everybody else's.
Yeah.
So there's really no time to cry and deal in that type of
Yeah.
stuff. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's where the whole concept came from.
Okay. That's yeah. Well, okay. So I'm gonna get into some quotes. Are you good for time,
Yeah,
or how you doing?
I'm good, bro.
Because to me, like, I could talk forever. Because I'm gonna chop this thing into a million clips, bro. It's gonna be
Word.
beautiful. It's gonna be great content. So, but yeah. All right. So both sides. I'm gonna say your hook verbatim. Catching hell from both sides. Black, white, wrong, right. Got me wondering why. We gotta catch hell from both sides. Evil, good, suburban hood. Feeling misunderstood. Why we gotta catch hell from both sides. Father, mother, sister, brother, even my lover. And they wonder why we don't cry. Cause we don't heal, so we don't feel. Swear this life is so ill when you catch it from both sides. I hope I did it. I hope I at least said it verbatim enough. Let
That's
me
it.
ask. Let me ask you a question. How many days out of the week do you feel like this? Is
Oh
this
man,
are these feelings that you got to contend with, like day in and day out, or is this like? Let me know, man. Let the people know.
every day, every day. I mean,
It's crazy.
because the irony to it is, no matter what side you find yourself on emotionally at the time,
Yeah,
it's still some pressure to be better.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And that's the hardest part about, in my mind, about being a man, I guess, or just being a human being, right?
yeah,
It's like you're doing good. There's always somebody around that expects or tries to push you to do more.
yeah,
You're not doing good. There's those same people or other people are questioning your motives and questioning why you're not doing good. Why
yeah,
are you not being the best version of yourself? You know what I'm saying? And that comes from everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, we there's racism due to color,
yeah.
due to opposites of color.
Hmm.
There's, what I'm saying, then I still got to worry about the person that looks similar to me if they gonna knock me over the head and try to take my bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like my mother like, full disclosure, my mother is a tough cookie, man. So,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Once upon a time I dropped out of college and she would harass me like, you gotta go back, you gotta go back, you gotta
right,
go back. And I'm just like,
right.
man, like, just let me live my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, my father might be questioning, the type of decisions I'm making for my family or for myself.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my wife gets at me from time to time. You know what I mean? Like,
I.
it's, you
Oh,
know
go
what I
ahead.
mean?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
I mean, that's really just, it's hard because, especially when you like, I consider artists as visionaries.
Yeah,
And so when you're a visionary, you always trying to look at the next thing and try to reach the next rung or the next plateau.
yeah.
And around you is all of
People
these
don't.
people.
They don't know. They don't understand shit. They don't. They don't.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
You know, about 10 years ago, I spent 3 years in the studio with, like, I would say, a proper engineer. Um, and yeah, having a partner that understands. And, like, the thing is, I don't have an off switch. Like, I'd be working at a call center and I'm fucking thinking of rhymes, but, like, I cannot. So, and it's affecting I'm walking, my wife is talking to me and I'm sitting there thinking of bars. You
For
feel, you
sure.
feel me?
I
Right?
do. I
So,
absolutely do.
so your wife is a nurse, right? I think I caught that, right? Is that right?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no,
okay.
no.
What I was gonna ask you is, does she understand you? Whatever she does for a living or whatever she does she understand and support your art? You know?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. I
good.
mean, to I get to a fault, right? I mean, because part of what we do and part of just being a creative is, we want to always push the envelope and try for more.
Yeah,
Because that's what it takes for us to be able to reach like the highest level of success. But in that it makes it difficult because we have a family, so the more time I spend doing this, the less time I'm
yeah,
spending with my family.
yeah,
And at a certain level of the business, there's not a lot to be obtained. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, not everybody is earning a living off their craft. Not everybody is earning $1 off of their
Yeah,
craft, let
no,
alone.
it's true. Facts.
So, you know, it's difficult to justify certain things that I do. You know what I mean? Like where,
Yeah,
like, yo, I'm about to go to the studio over here. Why?
yeah,
Like, you got one here. Like, what do you need to do that for? You know what
yeah,
I mean? Or,
yeah.
yo, I need to go meet with this person and talk shop. Why? What do you need to do that for?
Well,
What you
just to
got?
do
You know
this, I had to be snappy with my kids to get them in bed. You know what I mean? Just to get down here,
what I mean?
be
Right.
able to do this. So yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
it's a tough balance, but you know, like love conquers all.
But
So you know what I
but
mean. Salute to my wife.
but literally, can you tell us a strategy? I hope you have a strategy for how you balance work and art. Because to me, for 3 years, when I did that run, my like 10 years ago, um,
Mhm.
I was in a state of insanity. Like it's insanity to me. Like I get so passionate about it that I can't do anything else effectively. To be totally honest with you.
No, for
So how do
sure.
you deal with it? Do you have a
Um,
strategy?
I think it's there's a lot of grace required with the people that surround you
Right.
to kind of like let you be who you are,
Yeah.
but at the same time you have to be intentional about your time and about how you're investing your time. One of the things that I try to share with my team is, when you come into a lot of money, you're going to have a budget. You're going to have an accountant to help you decide what to do with this money. You should also approach your time as like that as well. Like people say, time is money, right? Time is the most valuable commodity we have. So you should also be trying to budget your time as diligently as a rich man would budget his money. So I got a calendar. I add stuff to the calendar. I remove
Right.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing trumps, my family unless I feel like it's absolutely
Yeah.
necessary, and then I request a blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not perfect with it by
Yeah.
any
No.
stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination, but it's not easy either. I'm blessed to have a really good day job
Yeah.
that gives me the freedom to be able to be as creative as I need to be during those times as well. So
You're very fortunate on that front. Very
very,
fortunate.
very, very.
So moving along, American Pie. I love that joint. I love the bounce in it, the singing.
Word.
Want to stop at Never Cry 1 and 2. Okay. There's an audio clip of a woman saying her dad had his tear ducts removed when his dad died, so he couldn't cry, and that his eyes would bleed in the winter. Is this a real story, or is this out of a book, or like, can you
Um,
enlighten me? Because that's pretty
um,
intense.
I I am under the impression that it is a comedic clip from a show
Okay,
called Blackish.
okay,
Um,
okay.
I'm not 100% sure because God bless the great Carolina Blue. He actually found that clip and put that together. So I'm not sure where it came from,
Okay.
but it made so much sense. The irony is, with the actual hard copy of the CD, I took some pictures of myself crying with blood tears to
Right.
kind of pay homage to that clip. But he found it and pieced it together. So you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a real thing. It was Wanda Sykes. She's a comedian and a couple of other
Okay,
people. So I
okay.
think
Yeah, because it sounded like acted out, but I was like, I didn't catch any comedy on that. So I
yeah,
was like,
no,
yeah,
they
yeah.
was I think it was a comedic thing, but it was that intense though. Like, and I appreciated it because it did bridge the two pieces of that record together.
So, like, I, I read the album as in part is it could be difficult. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm gonna be very sensitive of what I'm saying. For a black man to feel comfortable crying in front of other people, is this? Did I hit the nail on the head in part with some of the messaging here in this
Um,
album,
yeah,
or did I
I
miss it
don't.
altogether?
No. That's it. That's 100% it. I don't take it like I don't want to make it racy,
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
I feel like that's for every real man, right? Like every
yeah,
man that
yeah.
is
Absolutely,
of a
absolutely.
certain age or from a certain era. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
Oh yeah.
I didn't grow up in this, you know, in this era. Like it was, you know, what you crying for? You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? I grew up in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? As a child, I'm from the 80s, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it wasn't no like what you crying for. Like you would get your ass whooped more for crying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it took a lot for me to, you know, be able to even talk about this type of stuff on records because I never felt comfortable with expressing myself in this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I only saw my dad cry like once or twice when like
One time,
his mom died or whatever. But I wanted
one
to
time.
ask you flat out, are you able to cry today when you need to cry?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I
All right.
I don't much still only
Yeah.
because like that's just kind of part of my
Right.
DNA now. You know what I
Right.
mean? But there's certain like gospel records that kind of get me.
Right.
And you know, if I don't feel like crying, I'll avoid those records. But if I do, I know those ones will get me every time, and I can just get my personal release. But it's
Gotcha.
in private though, never in public. I got
Yeah.
caught crying one time in public, and I never live it down. So no.
Right. Gotcha. So moving along here, want to talk about Red. I'm gonna just comment on Red Walls very quickly. You know, because when I was discovering you as an artist, I was trying to figure out who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
Because I saw your video for the homies, looked like more of a street record. Then I'm getting like video game records and high score, like kind of on the edge of nerdy, just a touch. You know what I'm saying with some of the themes. Then I'm like Red Walls. I'm like, then it dawned on me, you're just a dude that's seen and lived some shit. You know, you got a full character. I think Red Walls shows the possibility of like when things go bad, what your lower self can look like,
Very
right?
much.
If you're pushed to the
Very much.
edge, right? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I on the actual beginning of that record or the tail
Yeah,
end of the previous record, I speak about I had an interview here at one of the local radio stations, and you know, it was a question about, you know what I'm saying, like how we feel and why I make music and certain things like
yeah,
that. And really it was just like using the music as therapy, you know, and I feel like the quote was, you know, the expectations of men to be rational in irrational situations.
right,
Like, right, you know what I'm saying? Like George Floyd is expected to act rational when he's being, you know, being profiled or beat down by the police or
right,
whomever, right?
right.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, and so in moments when I feel like, you know, I feel enraged or I feel like, you know what I'm saying, a certain level of aggression, I use the music to get that out, and that's where a record like Red Walls will come from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like that's me feeling angry about something, and then also me feeling slighted within my music career, or
yeah,
me feeling, you know what I'm saying, frustrated with, you know what I'm saying, the fact that there's people that are considered to be better than me that aren't better than me, or whatever the
yeah,
case may be.
yeah. So let me ask you a question. Do you think the record industry works for people that have a full range of emotions and personality? Because I think the way the industry is today, it's like you need to know what someone's about in like 2 seconds, and they need to be about some real shallow shit. You know, for the most part, just for people to like, I don't know, quickly connect. What do you think about what I'm saying? Do you think the record industry supports this kind of 360 view of a person?
I would say, like, I think that's more of an anomaly for the record industry to support that than it's not.
Right.
Um, you get artists like, even like a lot of I guess casual fans of hip hop, they would pit J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar against one another, right?
Right.
Because they're similar in content. So it's like it's only one allowed, right? It's only one amazing female rapper
Yeah.
allowed at a time. I mean,
Yeah.
like stuff like
Yeah.
that where, you know, it's only a handful of those people that give that 360 view
and,
of life.
and if you come up under them, it's like you're imitating them. Oh, you
Yeah,
sound like Kendrick Lamar, right?
right,
Yeah,
right,
it's a good point.
right. Like
Right.
it's been so many times. Like ironically, like I did pray for when I did pray for Buffalo with my daughter. Shout out to Kaya. She she sent the record to a friend of hers that she go to school with. She's in college,
Yeah.
and he immediately was like, "Hey, if you like this, let me show you some J. Cole music, right?"
Right.
And I'm just like you can't escape it because those specific artists are at the front end of that style of music, that
Yeah.
360. And the record industry, they don't got no room for that because they
It,
trying to sell all of the other bullshit.
yo, what's up, Upstate?
That's Big
We've
Nate
been
from
going back and
upstate.
forth on IG, cracking jokes, man. Salute.
That's my guy. Salute to
But
Nate.
it's crazy that even though the way you listen today, it's a choose your own adventure. You can listen to whatever you want, but still, there's these major figures and like influences, right? It's
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's like the food industry. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always that niche restaurant that has the best of whatever it is,
yeah,
but there's a million burger joints that serve you bullshit. So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's the same.
So let's go to Communion if you're still good.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite song. You know, like to me, hip hop fantastic when you could spit fly shit, make dope punchlines. But I want to see a track like this from an artist to measure their artistic work, that they can actually talk about themselves in a vulnerable way. It's not easy to do, to put yourself out
No.
there. And to me, this is the core of hip hop, personally. You know, for
Mm-hmm.
me, anyways.
Word.
So if I can quote your bars, if you're cool with that.
Absolutely.
You said, so many claim they love but won't invest in your vision. I ain't talking monetary, family won't even listen. So leave emotions imprisoned. I know that from like, maybe not even the same what you're talking about, but I can relate to that. Suppress, don't address it. The world don't give a damn till you display too much aggression. Then it's thugs or menaces, labeled because love was limited, hated because we pigmented, murdered from racial sentiment. So yeah, I want to talk about that and like the support system around you. Like, they do you feel? I think we kind of covered this ground actually, but do you feel your family? Can you unpack in how many levels you're talking about this of emotions imprisoned and not having support? Like, I think you're talking about a lot of dimensions here.
Yeah.
Can you break that down?
I think like part of it is from like on my Facebook feed. I follow a lot of friends, you know what I'm saying, that's in the local community, the music
Yeah.
community. And a reoccurring conversation is, or like you see the memes, it's like, share the music, share your homies' music. You sharing all of these rappers that you don't know, or you
Yeah.
support all these people that you don't know, but you won't support the people that's actually next to you. And
Yeah.
and I deal with that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I've been doing music for 20 years, and I'm 100% certain that there's people that's been in my house in those last 20 years that don't listen to my music. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like people that have broken bread, ate my food, used up my gas, shitted in my toilet, don't even know my
Yeah.
records.
Yeah. I hear you.
So part of that is like, damn, like I can't get the support of the people that surround me. You know what I mean? And I can't really say anything about it because we family. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm not trying to, because I'm not trying to make this like it's not an exchange for type of situation. Like we just family. You know what I'm saying? And regardless of if they support my music or not, that's not going to change. I would prefer them to, but they don't. You know what I mean? And the unfortunate part about it is when you are creative and you in the business, the goal is to be heard. And and it's tough because it's like if I can't get the people around me to listen, then how easy is it going to be for me to get other people that's not
I
around me to
I
listen?
I had the same challenge. Listen, you've been doing this much longer and consistently than me. I'm not going to front, right? But I have very hard to get people around me to look at me as an artist. You know what I'm saying? It's so I would think most people have that challenge.
Right.
Do you know of any
And
artists that don't have that challenge?
um I don't. All right, fuck it. I'm gonna make it controversial. All
Okay.
right, so you know what I'm saying. I was never like I dabbled in in some, moving some paraphernalia around,
Right.
at one point in time in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I was never so outside to where, I gained any notoriety for doing that shit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So when it comes time for me to make music and try to, create like a sense of attention for myself, I don't have that type of street story, direct street story to be able to just walk up to people and be like, yo, I'm rapping now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas there's a bunch of other people, that gain notoriety from being outside and being, being drug dealers or whatever the case may be, where they don't have nearly the amount of skill or talent at doing this as
I
I do,
think
but they have that
I
popularity of being in that,
I
in that certain
I,
atmosphere. You know what I
I
mean?
think that narrative is well established in hip hop, for better or worse.
Right,
So it just makes sense to people.
right,
For me, my parents are from Russia. I didn't grow up in a hip hop environment, right? They moved to Canada. I was born here. Uh, for me I had to think like, how the hell can I present myself as a rapper, like from
right,
Canada, Russian parents, like how the hell do you do that? And that part of why I've analyzed rap so much is trying to figure out how the hell I fit in, because in the 90s and 2000s you didn't have all the lanes you have today, where
right.
everyone is rapping, right?
Yeah,
So
right,
in that way I could I'm just relating to you as best I can, you know what I mean?
right.
So
And that's the biggest thing is you want people
salute
to support,
upstate.
you want people to listen, you know what I'm saying? But the frustration that comes with the lack of attention or the lack of desire to want to support the art is like something that we suppress. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I was having a conversation with my mother
Yeah.
recently about like the blizzard that happened and the unfortunate things that's happening in our city and how the city is so segregated and I was explaining to her, it's like, yo, you can't be mad at the circumstances because we don't support one another the way that we should.
Yeah.
Like I'm in like I have two separate group chats, one for my father's side of the family and one for my mother's side of the family. And I'm selling t-shirts and like, hey, I'm trying to get the family to support, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's like I'm utilizing these funds to be able to do bigger things.
Yeah.
And if I can't get my family to support me, then it makes it that much more difficult for me to be able to create some kind of foundational wealth
Yeah.
to be able to support their ventures. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's and that recent conversation was the first time I ever expressed that frustration to somebody that's in that section of people. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, but the unfortunate part about it is I didn't get a response until I started to get angry in my voice about the situation.
Yeah.
So it speaks directly to those lyrics about, like the family won't pay attention, so you suppress that emotion, but they don't give a damn until you start to act out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's like that's an everyday life. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
I I I thought you were saying almost more aggression in society.
oh yeah,
Is
but
that
I mean,
also that?
it's not to cut you off, but it's like consider the project from front to back, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like start from both sides and
Yeah.
then go to community and
It's a
go to that
pressure
lyric.
cooker. Pressure cooker.
It's inside and out. It's
Yeah.
I have to suppress emotions that are created from the disconnect and the lack of support from inside my own family and from outside in the world,
Yeah.
from society. I have to deal with all of this stuff from both sides of the coin. It's not
Yeah.
just one linear situation. Those
Yeah.
ideas can be applied to many different places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I hear you. Yeah. It's intense.
It's very intense.
So
Very.
so let's go to the second part of this. There's a whole verse is just you just feel the whole verse, but I'm gonna get to the last part of it here. Um, Surrounded by all this smoke and mirrors, I'm tired, bruh. Sit in my Sunday best, looking for some law that I could fire up, chopper to the face without the silencer, to quiet all the voices and noises inside my head, watching TV till I'm sleepy because darkness is what I dread. Ironic they despise my complexion because I'm black, but when they take their final breath, They're gonna all fade to that. That was fucking powerful, man.
Or,
So look, you know, I'm gonna go back to Biz Markie for a second.
mhm.
You know, you your jovial side, so to speak, you relate to Biz Markie. I want to ask you a question, and partly based on these lyrics. How often in music and life do you have to put on a front that you're happy despite what you're feeling inside? Is that a fair question?
No, that's a very, very fair question. How often? I think it's like it's a everyday situational, understanding your environment type of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like where is a safe space for me to be able to be 100% authentic in myself? You know what I
yeah,
mean? If I just got out of, like, me and my wife just had an argument and I'm pulling up to work, can I,
yeah,
like, is that the right place for me to kind of express the frustration? Probably not.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I kind of gotta fake it until I make it out of the day. You know what I mean? Until I can get back to a place, or get to a
yeah,
place that's a little bit more safe for me to express those feelings. It's every day. You know what I mean? And so
yeah,
I just try to pride myself in being an uplifted person, you know what I'm saying, being energetic in spaces, because like the music takes me there. Like,
right.
it ain't nothing that I could go through that music ain't gonna kind of get me out of the mood of. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? I could be in a good mood and I could listen to the wrong song and it could put me in a bad mood, and vice versa. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, the vibrations will change your energy
Oh yeah,
in an instant. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I just try to kind of move like that. Like, I want to be able to change the atmosphere with my attitude. So I shake it off just for the sake of being able to change the atmosphere in a positive way wherever I'm at.
yeah,
But, like, again, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a man in America. I'm a man on the globe, on this planet. I have to, it's a lot of weight
yeah,
on me,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, to keep it together. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So,
yeah.
so, I fake it a lot, but, I'm built for it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
So, so that was my last quote. You know, this Never Cry album. It's very well executed. It's one of my favorites. Again, in the last long while with high score. I've listened to it like 15 times. I told you. Um, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here, but I had a good question. Um, I want to ask you this. You're a man of God, right?
indeed,
Is that correct?
yes, sir.
So you've mentioned things in your lyrics. Pardon me, your dad, brain injury, your mom in the hospital, things going on with your brother, let's say. You got societal stuff on top of that. How do you maintain your belief in God at times when all these things are working against you? Can I ask you that
Um,
question?
Absolutely. I am a firm believer in, um, you know, discernment, understanding what the purpose of a certain trial or tribulation is about.
Hmm.
I do believe that, all things, no matter whether it's good or bad, they work for the sake of the greater good, which is the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, a a, a snowstorm that kills X amount of people in my city could be looked at as a really bad thing,
Right,
but the positive side of it is I've seen a lot of people that I never spoke to before that live in this neighborhood that was helping each other
right, right.
dig out. You know what I'm saying? So it's not in the moment of the trial that I question my faith or question God or anything like that. It's in the aftermath. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it ain't the size of the dog and the fight is the size of the fight and the dog type of situation. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what are we gonna do after the fact? You know what I'm saying? Like, God will show up after the fact. Like, when you feel like all is lost, that's when God shows up the most and the
yeah,
quickest. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just about your faith and being able to believe that God will show up. And so, through all of the mess
yeah,
that I was able to kind of jot down and record from the Never Cry project and other
yeah,
records that I've done,
yeah,
I've seen so much positive after that,
yeah.
to where I can't help but continue to believe and have faith. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So it's
it's been,
very embedded. It's embedded inside of you, like
absolutely,
deep, deeply.
absolutely, absolutely.
Good on you, man. So We're approaching the end, buddy. Give me a second here.
Okay.
Just want to make sure we covered everything, because again, I'm going to chop this into a whole bunch of beautiful clips
No
to
doubt.
to flood the market. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. For sure.
um, yeah, man. So okay, so let's just get into some accessory topics here. So, how did you said you were thinking of retiring at Dreams in
Mhm.
3D, right? I mean, that's your
Yes.
10th album. And then you went on to do another 6 albums. Is that 5 or 6?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what pulled you back in? Can you tell us? Is it related to D Block?
It is. It is actually. So right around the time that I was wrapping up, so quote unquote retiring at the end of the Dreams in 3D and the album, and just focusing on my family a lot more. I was actually working with a rap group by the name of Alma Ave,
Okay.
and and right around that time they were doing a lot of major stuff, and I was helping on the managerial side. I wasn't doing any recording of my own or working on any albums, but I was
Right.
helping them on the managerial side.
Right.
And it just so happened that that they got like I mixed a record for them that was featuring Freeway. And
Yeah.
the manager of the producer who produced the record by the name of Jimmy Dukes
Right.
actually reached out and followed me on Facebook, and we were communicating because they were looking to do some work with the rap group.
Yeah.
Um, and I was still like promoting some of the records that I had available at the time. And he just so happened to get wind of it, and I ended up starting to do a lot of writing for other artists at the time. And so it
Sorry,
was
who
really
who got wind of it from D Block, or who?
it's a guy named Eric Smith. He goes
Okay.
by Smiley, and
Okay. Okay.
Smiley's Peoples. Salute to my man Smiley's Peoples. And he was managing Jimmy Dukes at the time, the producer that I work with now, that
Okay.
produced he produced Pray for Buffalo.
Okay.
And he's like, yo, the dudes is nice. We were actually in communication because I was working as a manager. I was communicating with him directly. And fast forward a little bit of time, he actually ended up hearing one of the records that I had. And his thought about it was the same as yours, was like, yo, this is a dope record. I didn't know you rapped. Yeah, I rap. Okay, but who's singing on the hook
Yeah.
though? Because the hook is fire. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's me too. Right.
Yeah.
So it was a song called Cuffing Season.
Okay.
And he's like, man, you should sing some hooks on these beats. And
Right.
I'm like, all right. I never put two and two together. I did my background research. I figured that he was working with D Block because I seen him like reposting a lot of Snipe Life records, which was like, it just it made too much sense. And so I would say probably like in 2 months, I sent maybe about six different song concepts, and one of them got to Sheik. Sheik was actually in Hawaii
Wow.
with Ghostface. He
Wow.
was in Hawaii with Ghostface at the time. And he forwarded to him. I'll never forget it. I was in my bedroom watching TV, watching football on a Sunday. And he's like, yo, I just sent the record to Sheik. He said he loved it, but he out of the country right now. He in Hawaii. When he come back, he gonna work on it. So I'm like, yeah, right. I ain't believe it. But, sure enough, probably like a week later, he's like, yo,
Mhm.
Sheik is in the studio right now. He working on your record. And now, mind you, I'm supposed to be retired. So, you know what I
Right.
mean? So, and as that
Life throws some serious curveballs.
right. So I'm like chilling. I'm taking this chance because it's like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to work with the Locks, right? So or work
Right.
with Sheik, Luke, and D Block or whatever. I don't know what the circumstances are going to be, but I'm just trying because I never had this type of opportunity
Wow.
before. So and like I would say probably about
This is 2016, right?
yep
No.
2016.
Okay.
Yep, around about 2016, maybe 2016.
Okay.
So yeah, so when I submitted that, he got it back. He called me while Sheik was in the studio one day recording to the record. The song is
Wow.
called The Product.
Okay.
It was on one of their mixtapes, and the rest is history. Like I started writing more records and presenting more records for opportunities. I actually ended up going on tour as a DJ for the group that I was working with
Oh,
at the
you DJ
time.
as well? You do scratch? You DJ?
No,
Okay. Okay.
I'm nah.
Okay. Gotcha.
No, I'm a show DJ. I was playing
Got
their
it.
records for the show and
Got it.
hyping them and stuff like that,
Got it.
and
Got it.
touring. Whatever. But but it was just so many different other things happening. And once things started to pick up, I was working on records again for bigger opportunities. So, me wanting to retire, it didn't really last, as long as I expected because bigger opportunities came, and I would have been a fool not to take those opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So
What
I
did,
did.
I assume you learned things being on tour with them? Did you
Um,
learn anything interesting?
well, I know one of the things that I learned is just the whole like professional tour date show stuff. Like touring is sucks. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
If you don't got a great budget, touring sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of crappy
You're
hotels
eating
and
shit. A lot of salty food.
eating terribly, not sleeping very well, especially when you're
Right.
not the main act.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They had me sleeping in chairs and on the floor and
Oh
shit.
wow. Holy
You
shit.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was tough, but you know what I mean? Like it was an MTV sponsored tour, so I could say that, that was on my resume. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like we actually toured with Joel Ortiz. You know
Wow.
what I mean? So yeah, so the Human Tour, it was around the time that him and Illmind did an album together. I actually was with Illmind, standing right next to Illmind when he got the text from J. Cole that Forest Hills, the Forest Hills album went platinum. The night that it went platinum, we were in Boston at the Dublin Underground, I think it's
Right.
called. Something like that. We was in Boston at one of the famous hip hop venues, and he was DJing at the end of the show, and he's like, "Yo, I just got the text from Cole. We just went platinum," and I'm like, "Damn."
Sorry,
I'm like,
who went platinum out of your circle? Sorry, who was it that
"No,
went
not in
platinum?
my circle. Not in my circle. Illmind is a producer
Right.
for J. Cole,
Right.
and
Right. Okay. Got
yeah,
it.
he was producing with J. Cole at the time,
Right.
for the Forest Hill Drive album,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Okay.
you know what I mean. So that's like a cool story. I was like standing right next to him. He was DJing the after party of the show, and I was standing right next to him when he got the when he got the call and shit,
Yeah.
which was really good. So but
Dope.
yeah, tour is cool. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of funny stuff that happened because I was with my bros, but
Yeah.
it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of
So
work.
I've heard. Are you still working with D Block or the Locks in any capacity at this point, or?
Absolutely. I actually just submitted some records for a project that Jadakiss is working on. And then me and my man Jimmy Dukes just got a placement on a Chic project.
Wow.
But and then me and Snipe Life we actually got a couple records together. That's coming out soon too. Like he's on my album, I'm on his album, and
Yeah.
we stay in contact. Like me and him speak more often than anything. And then I also got a relationship with their head engineer by the name of Dazel. That's one of the homies as well. So
Dope.
yeah, that's fam.
Dope.
Mm-hmm.
So I see PA Dre just jumped in
Salute to
after
Dre, PA Dre.
salute after an hour and a half, and I'm gonna jump right into RJ Payne.
Right.
So actually, we talked about RJ Payne, but in what capacity do you work with RJ Payne? And can you please tell me anything you can about the Ice-T project? Because as a little kid, like Ice-T Power, Lethal Weapon, like I was walking around,
Right.
as a little kid listening to these albums. Ice-T's like a legend of legends to me. So,
Well,
what? Go ahead.
unfortunately, I was on the outside looking in with that. You
Got
know what
it.
I'm saying? That's PA Dre. I'm like this. I don't know. Maybe I hope I'm the sixth man on the team over there. But Dre calls me up like, yo, I need something for this. Like, I need
Right.
something for this beat. Payne is working on a project,
Right.
and I need something dope for this. And you know what I mean? Like, he trusts and believes in me and my ability to pull something dope out. And you know, and I'm able to make it happen.
Right.
And they was rocking with it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where a lot of those records came from, like during the pandemic when we was working on Never Cry.
Yeah.
Some of the records I created during that time, and then just throughout the time, me and Dre been building for the last couple of years. Like it feel like 3 years. You know what I'm saying? That we just been tossing records back and forth. The new Daz and Nate, you know what I'm saying? Daz and Nate Dogg.
Wow.
That's, you know what I'm saying? That's our little moniker thing. You know what I'm saying? He's Daz the producer / rapper, and I'm Nate Dogg.
You're yeah, no, it's serious. What's that track with Huss the Kingpin? Your hook on that? I mean, I'm not gonna say you sound like Nate Dogg, but it has the flavor of a West Coast, like 90s. Bro, that hook was fire.
Yeah, man. We all, you know what I'm saying?
That beat was fire.
Like Dre chef up the beats, man, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like I call the record Clank Clank. They changed the name of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
But no, man. Shout out to Huss Kingpin and the opioid epidemic, man. They bodied that record, and you know Dre is an amazing producer. You know, we as far as that If Cocaine Could Talk 7, the Nino's Revenge project, like, you know, it was a brainchild of Payne. Dre produced the whole thing, and you know what I'm saying, and I was lucky to be a part of it. It's only 2 hooks on the project, and I just so happen to be one of them.
And
so
both of the hooks were dope. You've never missed with a hook, as far as I've heard, and I've been digging through your catalog, man.
So, hey, listen, I tell everybody, you know what I'm saying, like they say Dre be saying I don't miss too. I just don't let y'all see my misses.
Okay.
Like, I'll be in the group with the misses.
I want to ask you this question. At this point, you've been doing music for a hell of a long time, right? How do you know when something's done? Do you need outside validation that your work is done, whether it's a hook, a verse, a song, or do you feel it and be like, no, it's done? How do you know when something's done?
I think the beauty of me being able to, or knowing how to make beats, gives me a bit of insight into what's done.
Okay.
So like, I know what I've learned over time, especially with me making beats, is like I try to add as much as I can until it gets too loud and noisy and compacted, and then I strip it down. I do the same thing when I sing or when I do hooks and vocals and stuff like that. Like I build it up and build it up and build it up till there's no more space for me to put anything.
Then you reduce.
And then I start to spread it out and break it down like that. You know what I'm saying? So that when I can't think of anything else to add, or there's no pockets for me to fall in, then that's when I know it's done. But I've done it so many times. You know what I'm saying? And too, like I'm a big like fan of like soul music, like Music Soul Child and Bilal and D'Angelo. So, you know what I'm saying? I really study. I'm a student of that type of music, you know what I mean? So I really study how to put this stuff together. And so like I know when I feel like it's done, it's done.
Okay.
It ain't really too much else.
So I'm gonna ask Dre to keep you honest here. When you're sending hooks to the likes of the Locks, D Block, RJ Payne, have they yet to say, hey, can you change this or that, or are they usually good with it as is?
Yeah, I actually a couple times. Like I actually produced and did the hook for a record called "Watch Your Mouth for the Locks."
Right.
That like that it's 100% me. I made the beat, I recorded the vocals, I wrote the hook and the concept, the intro, everything. And the song ain't came out yet because they asking me to change it, and it ain't nothing for me to change it to. That's just is what it is.
Right.
Let me see what else. I did a record for Styles P called Sky High that I wrote. Salute to my sister Tiffany. She actually sang the lead on it, and I did the backgrounds.
Right.
It was a line in the song where I said something about being a terrorist, like I'm a terrorist when I blow it up, speaking about like smoking, right?
Right.
And SP was like, you gotta change that. So we changed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Changed it, sent it back, it was all a go. You know what I mean?
Right.
So sometimes it happens, you know, but it's very rare that I get a call back and be like, no, this ain't. Oh no. Real quick too. RJ Payne did it to me once too, and it wasn't really. I don't think Payne did it. I think it was more Dre because Dre knows better.
Right.
But like I sang a hook and I was it was a song with him and Fayshawn.
Right.
And I sang the hook, and I was speaking about my kids.
Yeah.
And Dre's like, yo, Payne don't got no kids.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I hear you.
so
Can't
that makes
relate.
sense.
Can't relate.
Yo, and I'm not gonna lie, I was
Yeah.
pissed because I'm like, yo, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
This shit is perfect. Like, that was the only time that happened to me where I was upset that I had to change something, because I felt like if I'm a feature on a song, then I should be able to be a feature and be myself. You know what I mean? But what Dre said and what the purpose of that record was made total sense. And you know, and the simplest change made it all perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's the song called? Teflon Melanin.
Got it.
Yep. Teflon Melanin. Yeah.
All right. So, bro, I promise you by 12 we're going to wrap up. I'm squeezing everything I can out of this interview.
I don't even
so that
know what I didn't know what time it was. I'm having a good time. So it's
yeah, man. I told you it would go fast, right? Like, it's moving along, right?
Word.
I was a big fan of Trife Diesel in the 2010s. You know, I was heavy digging into, discovering artists at that time. You have a Trife Diesel story just because I was a big fan of his, and I thought he had everything it takes. He's great, but I mean, to be up there with the greats, do you have a story about Trife Diesel?
I got a couple Trife Diesel stories.
Let's hear it if you're down.
The first time I met Trife, it was really on happenstance. Like, my one of my homies, DJ Ep.8, who is from Rochester. He actually lives here now, but he's from Rochester, New York. And like, he just randomly called me one weekend, like, yo, I'm in the studio, I need a hook from you. Or no, he sent me music. Like, yo, I'm working on some records with Trife Diesel. I need you to lay these joints down. Let me know what you could come up with, whatever. And I'm like, all right. But I didn't know what was the purpose of it, when it was going to happen, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So he just so happened to, like, so when I tell you I dragged on it, I didn't write nothing. I didn't have nothing.
Right.
So he caught me on a Sunday, which I don't normally do any kind of music work on Sundays. He called me on a Sunday like, yo, Trife is in town. Right. We want to see about getting you in the studio to do these hooks. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, yo, did you write anything to them joints? And I'm like, nah, bro. I didn't tell him no. I just said, like, I have something, like, but let me see if I can get out, because this is my family day. I was in the kitchen cooking dinner.
Yeah.
And so as I'm cooking. I was writing those.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was writing like, damn. I like, because in my mind, I'm like, yo, if I can't come up with something dope, I'm gonna call him back and let him know I just can't.
You're probably adding too much spice to your meal at hand. Too much salt in there while you're thinking of bars.
I don't even know what that food tastes like. I ain't even get a chance to eat them. So I'm like, yo, right, and I'm like, yo, if this don't come out right, then I'm gonna just tell him I can't make it. I'm gonna have to try to pull up on Monday. Right. Or whatever. But the hook came out dope. I sent him a voice note. He was like, yo, that's ill. Like, can you pull up to the studio? Yeah. So actually I called this dude named Matt that I met the night before, who's a producer. I was at a producer mixer. I'm like, yo, I don't want to go by myself. Like, pull up with me. So he ended up coming. I just met this dude. He ended up coming. Yeah. We go to the studio. It's all love. Like, Trife was rocking with the reference. You know what I'm saying? I went in, laid the hook down live. You know what I'm saying? Like, he asked me to do a bridge on the record. I actually wrote the bridge and did the bridge there. And you know what I'm saying? And we hit it off, and it was just like man, we like cousins that ain't seen each other in years. Like, it was just love. You know, and like, so we stayed connected, and fast forward, he ended up coming back to Buffalo last summer, or last winter, actually. Yeah. Yeah, like early in the year last year, actually. And so, again, him working with DJ M80, he was expecting to work with DJ M80 that day. Like, yo, I've been trying to get in the studio with dude. You know what I mean? Like, but he worked late. He worked 2 in the morning to 7 in the morning or whatever. Like, he worked from midnight until whenever. Right. So it was probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I get a text from Trife like, yo, where you at? I'm like, I'm at the crib chilling. What's going on with you? Like, he's like, yo, I'm in town. Like, I'm trying to get with M80 so we could have a session. Like, if we can get the session, you could pull up. I'm like, all right, bet. and he's like, but I don't know when he gonna be free. I'm like, we trading jokes about how M80 like to keep late hours. And I'm like, well, I got a lab here if you want, what I'm saying? You can pull up here. So he ended up catching the Uber to my crib, and we recorded a record that he did with Rock Ness from Boot Camp Click. And he recorded another one of his own records, and then he ended up featuring on one of the records I got for my album produced by Carolina Blue. So,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Yeah, like it was love, man. You know what I'm saying? He signed one of my Theodore Unit CDs because, you know what I mean? Like it's only right. I got it. You got to show me some love. You know what
I got to check out some of his tunes. I haven't peeped him in a long while, man. So gonna look for these tunes.
Him and my homie DJ Ep.8 got a dope album. I'm featured on there. We got a song called Trife Life. And then me and him, like, we got another record that's in the tuck called Dry. That's super fire. So I don't know when he gonna put it out, but the record, when I tell you this record is a smash, like, I don't try to make hits. I just like making dope records, but this one is a monster. Wow. So I'm hoping that they put it out soon because it's amazing. So
I want to ask you a question, actually. At this point in your career, in your music ventures, how do you measure success? Is it by numbers? Is it financial, or is it artistic? Still at this, like, how do you in your head? When do you see yourself? Oh, this was a success.
I identify my success by the people I'm able to impact around me.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Like the positive impacts that I can have on the people around me is what makes me feel successful.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I've been approached about, certain features that I've done, and people get excited about it. It kind of doesn't wow me that I've done something. It wows me that I was able to help somebody else do something. Like today, my homegirl Pretty Bully got featured on the Hot 97 page.
By the way, I would love to interview her. I'm just putting it in the ether.
For sure.
But go ahead. Sure. Sorry. Go ahead.
We talked about it behind the scenes. It's gonna happen for sure.
Okay.
But that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to get my team on Shade 4-5 last year on a number of occasions. Yeah. That was a big win for me. You know what I'm saying? Because what kind of leader could I say that I am if I'm not able to cultivate opportunities for the people that's around me?
You yourself, you were up on Shade 45 once? Was it the one time there?
Yeah. I was in studio once, and that was before the pandemic. It was I want to say either October or November of 2019.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And that was a one-time happening. Salute to Shy Boogie and G4 Jag for helping me get that opportunity. But yeah, that was like after that, they stopped for quite a while. They stopped letting people go up into the actual studio. You know what I'm saying? Unless you was like a celebrity. They hadn't had no, like no BC list level artists up there freestyling in quite a while. You know what I mean? So
got it.
I was like one of the last ones to get the opportunity to go up in there. Now they do the Punchline Academy, which is run by DJ Amadeus, who was actually the DJ for the session that I was on Shade 4-5 with last. They work with Vinny Idol. And they do the Punchline Academy, and that's sponsored through Shade 4-5 now. So it's kind of morphed into something different. But we actually did a freestyle, like a live on location type of thing at my studio for Shade 4-5 last year too. So that was an opportunity for me to introduce or to help introduce the world to Pretty Bully through Shade 4-5, my work through Shade 4-5 and DJ Amadeus.
It's great. Her first album, it's about heartbreak, but it's like G'd up, like I'm a dude, and I'm like this is hard. You know what I mean? Like the way she pulled that off, it's dope. Part of the reason
she hard, bro. She hard, bro. Like for real, like you know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie. Like I want to say, like she's the only person, maybe one other person, like one out of two people that's ever had me have to go back and change or update or rewrite my verse. She nice like that.
Yeah.
So
she reminds me of like Beanie Siegel, but more intricate, more more skills, more tricks in the bag, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right. So, no doubt. I definitely understand. That's real. Like,
all right. So wrapping up, If you've been putting out albums since 2004, we're in 2023. If you can turn back time, would you not change a thing about music, pursuing music? Would you have pursued it again, maybe with some changes? Or would you have not pursued it at all?
Well, I definitely would have pursued it.
Okay.
And I mean, that would be foolish to say that I wouldn't change anything. You know what I'm saying? Like with the knowledge that I have about my path, I would definitely change some things. You know what I'm saying? But then, I mean, no, I wouldn't change anything because, you know, so many things are unknown in regards to, you know, which direction you go, kind of like the butterfly effect, right? Like if I go back and change something about what I went through and what I've done, what path would that take me on and how would that affect the thing that's most important to me, which is my family?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's a thing for me. Like I enjoy being married. I enjoy being an available father.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I actually had a conversation with a really brief conversation with Conway once upon a time.
Hmm.
And you know, and it was like right at the height of everything that was going on. They was doing a lot of touring and stuff. And I asked him, like, yo, fam, like I know you got kids. All y'all got kids. You know, and I don't count Wes because Wes been rich for a long time. So, you know what I mean? But I'm like, yo, fam, all y'all got kids. How do you balance this?
Well,
Because it's hard.
I'm
You know what I
very
mean?
interested to hear the answer you got.
And you know, because it was at the time when my daughter was like a teenager going into high school and stuff, and I'm just like, damn, I don't know how to do this. And his response to it was, "Ain't no balance. They just have to
Yeah.
understand. They just have to understand that you're making certain, you know, time sacrifices for the sake of
Yeah.
creating a better, you know, a better life for them. You know what I mean? And so, when he said that to me, it kind of just made me feel a lot better about my position and where I was at, a lot more grateful, you know,
Yeah.
because I do have a close relationship with my kids and my wife. Do I have the accolades that a lot of other artists have? Maybe not. Do I have the big experiences and the
Right.
Grammy nominations and all of that stuff? No. But I have the respect of the people that have earned those things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is valuable to me. Do I have the money? No.
Yeah.
But you know, but I'm not diluting my own personal assets for the sake of pursuing music. I'm actually earning some money
Yeah.
doing this. I'm able to pay some bills doing my music. So, you know, it's not at the total height of it,
Yeah.
and I'm not at the bottom floor. So I'm like right somewhere
You're
in the middle.
look. I think you're doing what 99% of people are hoping to achieve in music. You know, throw some
Yeah.
numbers out there.
Word.
So yeah. So okay. So here's the final and most important question. You're a dude with a lot on your mind, a lot on your chest. If the whole world was watching you right now, you had 20 seconds to relay a message. What would you say to the world?
Oh man, I would say to the world that human greed is the reason why we struggle as much as we struggle. Stop being greedy, in the words of the illustrious DMX. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it's very important for all of us to embrace the necessity for financial literacy and educational opportunities for all people, for, you know what I'm saying, mental health services, for community building. I think those things are more important than anything that we focus our time and attention on, you know, through the politics and everything that create division in this world. The most important thing is for us to be humble and have a sense of humility to one another. And I find that I'm responsible for speaking about those things in my music, and that's what I try to do.
You definitely are, bro. 100%.
Thank you, man.
So, well said. Um, I'll just finish off by saying there's not a lot of artists that stand for something beyond the cliches and the well-established narratives. Your music always stands for something, and that's what I've grown to love about your music. So I'm a big fan at this point. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I told you it would go by quickly.
Likewise.
I hope it was dope on your end. And have a great night, man.
And I had a blast, man. Thank you for everybody that's swung through and tapped in with us. You know what I'm saying? Salute to LV, salute to Toronto. I'm coming through. I'm bringing merch. So just make sure that you send me your sizes so I can get you a pack. I'm gonna bring it to you personally, man. The art
Wow.
of rhyming, man.
That'd be dope, bro.
I appreciate you, man. This is a big deal for me. I'm grateful for the amount of attention and detail that you put into this interview.
Wait till they see the clips. I want people to know what you want them to know. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And we'll get that done. So have a great night, man, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace, everyone. Peace. If you want it, oh, there you go.